Joining us now to discuss is Chuck Flint, the CEO of the Alliance for IRS Accountability. Chuck, thanks for being here.
Great to be with you.
Great. So you want to hold the IRS accountable. Now, that's a tall order. I know a new commissioner was just sworn in the last few days. Do you think Billy Long has what it takes to move things in the right direction?
Absolutely. And I was really pleased to see that President Trump had a swearing in for him. The IRS, as everybody knows, it's been an agency that's been plagued by political targeting, by harassment, by intimidation of taxpayers for years. You don't have to look back any further than the Tea Party scandal for evidence of that 15 years ago. And there's actually still a woman who was involved in that, who was Lois Lerner's top deputy, who you would think could no longer still be working at the IRS, but she's not only still there, but she's actually been promoted as the commissioner of a division, the Large Business and International Division. And she's running a pass-through audit team that is targeting conservative businesses and partnerships. They're extending audit times from months to years. And so Billy Long's leadership is sorely needed over there. And that's what President Trump was trying to do by having that swearing in. He's sending a message that Billy Long has the authority to change the culture of the IRS for a lot of those deep state burrowed in employees who think that that agency is their personal fiefdom to just go ahead and dish out punishments to taxpayers according to whatever personal agenda they bring to work that day.
No, definitely. I hadn't even realized that some of Lois Lerner's top henchmen were still at the IRS, as you point out. And I
Tara,
know.
if I may just
Go
real
ahead.
quick, I think that's something too you'll be hearing more about from Capitol Hill in the coming days and maybe weeks.
Well, there's a lot of talk about federal layoffs just in general. Do you think that the IRS is in sore need of that as well?
They are, and they've had some layoffs already. Some have been incentivized by packages or RIF packages, and then they've also had probationary workers that have been laid off. The latest government reports estimate about 11,500, but you're still dealing with a fairly large workforce. It was up around 100,000 a few years ago, and then right now I think it's floating around 80,000. But there's still more that can be done there. And the IRS, one reason that we know that we can go ahead and right size it is because they failed to modernize. And if they could just go ahead and modernize, most people don't know that they're 30 years behind schedule on modernization and $15 billion over budget. And that's something that Secretary Besson has been very good about getting out the message on the failure of the IRS to modernize, which has cost taxpayers a lot of money.
Now, isn't that funny, right? The IRS, they always keep us on their strict timelines, but when it comes to their own timelines, they, at 30 years, what's even 30 years, right? So it's just funny. It's just interesting, right, how government tends to work. And I know when you're talking about the weaponization of the IRS, I know there's been witnesses who've gone before Congress in the last few years on the Twitter files and some other incidents. And next thing you know, the IRS is at their door. Next thing you know, they're being audited. Their taxes are being reviewed. They've never been harassed in that way before. So we see the weaponization continues, right? And so again, like you're saying, under this President Trump's second term, we're trying to address that moving forward for the future. Now, I also want to ask about, I know there was a new report that came out. I have it here. It's from the Treasury Inspector General. It's a new report of the U.S. Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. I should say, I think it's TIGTA.
That's correct.
Exactly. Okay. Can you outline for the audience exactly what were the findings of that most recent report?
The report found that the IRS was still investing money in legacy IT systems. Now, mind you, the IRS runs some of the oldest IT systems in the federal government dating back to the 1960s, and they had invested $21 million in 14 legacy systems when they're supposed to be doing the exact opposite. And that money was actually supposed to be prohibited from being spent on those legacy systems that they have. It came from the Inflation Reduction Act. And Kara, I think that it all goes back to what you brought up at the beginning. The IRS has this mentality of enforcement, of intimidation, of harassment. And they pushed Congress on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why you saw initially 58% of that money was earmarked for enforcement. And that's what we hear a lot about from the left: enforcement, enforcement, enforcement. And what they need to focus on is taxpayer services. And that's exactly what Billy Long will do. He's going to be taxpayer first and change the culture.
And that's what we hope, right? Because when it comes to the tax man and it's been a rub for taxpayers. Like I said, ever since taxes, in essence, were created, it goes back millennia at this point. But, there's always that rub, right? We want the government to do more with less. We want them to actually use our tax dollars. I mean, here in California, we see it all the time. We're taxed to high heaven, and then our freeways were always under construction. The signs say your tax dollars hard at work, and I think, I don't feel like my tax dollars are hard at work right now. Nothing ever seems to change. The construction continues for years and years and years, and nothing ever seems to change, and yet they keep taking my money.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.